It's the stories. It's watching lives be changed. A few months back, actually a few years ago, I'll flash back a little bit. Back in 2008, it began. began hearing about this guy that was up in the Carolinas, and they kept talking about this guy named Trey Knight. Everybody kept telling me I need to meet this guy named Trey Knight. And it continued. Several years went by and I kept hearing about it, and finally we had the opportunity to meet. We met in Jacksonville, Florida. We sat down and we just started exchanging ideas, and one thing that stood out in my head is after sitting there with him for 5 hours, I never heard him try to tell me about his accomplishments. All he kept telling me about was the accomplishments of people that he had worked with, people he had helped in other businesses. Through that conversation, he saw a connection with what we were doing here with Visalis and got excited and decided to join us. And I realized right away he carried tons and tons of credibility. In 45 days, he went from dead zero to 3-star ambassador. I've absolutely fell in love with this guy. He is absolutely phenomenal, and I want y'all to help me welcome to the stage, brand new 3-star ambassador, Mr. Trey Knight.
My best friend gave me the best advice. He said each day's a gift and not a given right. Leave no stone unturned, leave your fears behind, and try to take the path less traveled by. That first step you take is the longest ride. If today was your last day and tomorrow was too late, could you say goodbye to yesterday?
Thank you very much. I'm going to be real brief in my story, and Kyle obviously made it sound a whole lot better than it is. While Tim and Holly were talking about being nervous or excited, I'm flat out nervous. And I've done this a lot of times. But as I sat off to the side and just a group of people standing around us and some of the things that they said, you know, for years now, 3 or 4 years, we stepped into this world called network marketing. And the only thing we had really was the belief that it would be real someday. And you just keep convincing yourself that it's going to be real, and you keep convincing yourself, and then you're convincing other people that it's real. And then one day, you step into the right place, you meet the right person, they introduce you to the right opportunity, and you take action, and it is real. Nobody from nowhere can do this. It's the only place you can do this. There's 2 things that I found out that were very important in our process. And as I sat off to the side, I said, you know, I'm not going to cry. Tears came to my eyes standing there because my daughter Teresa, my oldest daughter, is with me today. And this whole journey started because after 15 years of corporate America, we found ourselves working harder and harder and harder and not getting anywhere near where we wanted to go. And a friend of mine, actually a couple, Rodney and Suzanne Combs, called me one day and they said, Trey, we want you to come look at an opportunity. It's a business opportunity. And for 15 years, that's what I did. I looked at businesses and helped restructure businesses and find capital for businesses. And I said, sure, be happy to go look at whatever business you might have. And then she told me it was a Saturday morning at someone's house. And I'm like, Suzanne, it's not one of them things, is it? And she says, yes, it is, but you've got to come. I know where you're at. I know you're frustrated. You have to come. And if you don't, I will call you every day for the rest of your life. And so I did. I showed up. And I got started in that business thanks to them. And then over the course of the first 6 months, I quit 25 times. I hated it. It was frustrating. But there was a point where I made a decision, and I sat in a room just like many of you are sitting in, And in that room, I finally listened to some people on stage who I didn't think were smarter than me, but they were. And I listened to them talk about their why. And I didn't get it. I didn't get write your goals down. I didn't get create your why. But all of a sudden, I went home that night and I wasn't having success, and other people I saw having success weren't any different than me. And so I looked at it and I said, what's going to be our why? And so I sat down, and my why was I had to leave that world and go do this with a different kind of a commitment. I had to change my story, as Jason said. And that change meant I sat my family down and I looked my daughters in the eyes and I said, listen, girls, Daddy's not real sure what he's getting ready to do. And he's scared to death, and financially it may be the biggest mistake in our lives. But after 15 years of corporate America, we're going to go try to do this. They looked back at me and said, Daddy, does that mean we get to stay here another year? Because see, up until that point, my daughters had, by the time this young lady was 12 years old, she had moved 17 times. And so I looked at her and I said, yes, sweetheart, you're going to get to finish school this year in the same school. And so that became my why. So every time that I went out, and every meeting I showed up at and nobody was there, every time I drove 2 hours to share the presentation and they told me I was crazy, that drive back, that 2-hour drive back, when that little mind, that little person in your mind is telling you, I told you so, told you it would never work, you're crazy, you need to go back. Well, guys, the problem with that is I couldn't go back. Because see, for me to go back, that means I would have to pull into that driveway, walk up those stairs, knock on my daughter's door, wake her up, and look at her in the eye and said, honey, I'm sorry, but Daddy lied. And I could never lie to her. Guys, there's a lot of things we'll quit on. We'll quit on ourselves, we'll quit on our dreams, we'll quit on a diet. But I could never quit on that young lady right there. And even times when I didn't believe, they believed. Guys, you started something here. I'm telling you, as God is my witness, it's real. There's a specialness in this company, in this room, with these leaders that is like nothing I've ever seen. Yeah. Thank you, Kyle Passetti, for making that phone call. Thank you, Mike Craig, wherever you are, for coming and validating for me what this really was. Thank you to that group of people right over there who I've shared my life with, and they believed long enough to do this one more time, even when I called them and said I was going to start selling milkshakes. Most of all, folks, for all you guys out there, just once in your life, finish what you started. God bless you. Thank you very much.
He said each day's a gift and not a given right. Leave no stone unturned, leave your fears behind, and try to take the path less traveled by. That first step.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last time for Trey Knight, new 3-star ambassador.